Welcome to DigitalK.
We should definitely start by saying I'm not an influencer. I can't influence my kids even, actually. So as by means of a little introduction, I'm the managing director and founder of an agency called The Fifth. I suppose that means we're a full-service influencer agency and talent business. We therefore build and manage long-term programs, influencer programs for our clients and brands, which is everything really from talent identification through to creative strategy, production, and the big holy grail of actual measurement and delivery of that. Another thing is we were born in a journalist's world, I guess. We were actually part of News UK and the Global News Corp business, which means we're trying to do things a little bit differently. We've put storytellers and storytelling really at the heart of this. This is where we think that the whole space is transitioning out of which is largely built up really on a PR and gifted world. It's moving into a much more integrated and considered marketing vehicle. So we're really excited about how that's going to develop, and that's why we've launched this agency. We think the whole space is a little bit like the Wild West, and some of the challenges we'll talk about now, it really needs to professionalize. So trust and transparency and measurement are key challenges.
And I think we're going to touch some of these points today. So let me start from this one. We used a lot the term influencer today on stage. Do you think it's still proper, speaking about influencer? I mean, I don't think influencing is the only thing you guys are doing, right?
No, it's not. I mean, and actually, I think you're right. I think we as an agency, starting to believe that the term is like misrepresentative, really, of the entire space. I think a lot of the talent that we work with really don't define with that anymore. They have organically started by just telling the stories of their life. You know, they are content creators, entrepreneurs, storytellers who very, very naturally have sort of drifted into the influencer space.
And which among these terms you prefer the best? Content creators,
storytellers, I prefer, but ultimately we've actually defined our world through 9 phases of influence. So we're trying to move away from the term influencer. We're also trying to move away from the term micro and macro, and because actually that really just defines scale. And true influence isn't really a measure of reach or scale. Influence is based on your format and your tone.
Speaking about reach, the next term that pops up to my mind is loyalty, right? As an influencer or as a content creator, it seems to me that these people are more eager to develop their brand. So how can they be loyal to a bigger brand like Gucci or Prada, if we're speaking about fashion, and how can they keep the loyalty going?
At the heart of this, and why brands want to enter into this space, is because the inherent loyalty that these storytellers or influencers have built and this authenticity they have with their audience, and that is paramount. So ultimately, an influencer needs to be authentic and trusted by their audience in order for brands to even capitalize on the space. So at a priority, and when influencer marketing works really well, it's when the brand is a natural fit for that influencer and for that influencer's audience. And so absolutely their loyalty, and you're seeing this now, is sort of an awakening, because audiences are very, very easy to spot when these talent that they've grown up following and they have this incredible trust and relationship with, and let's be honest, it is actually quite a one-to-one relationship that they've built. When they start working with brands that they feel like they are selling out, or they're taking the money, or they're not working with brands that fit their tone or their format and their lifestyle, then they get called out on it. And actually, the audiences are very fickle. So the talent are only influential while their audience are listening, while they're engaged, and therefore you're finding influencers are starting to turn down brands in favor of the trust that they've built with their audience.
Yeah, and turning on brands moves me again to another big topic, which is ethics, right? At the beginning of this year, of 2019, 2 YouTube stars, Jake Paul and Rice Gum, advertised a very, very shady gambling service online. So where is the line? Is it a fine line maybe, or where is a big line between, okay, I'm gonna do this or I'm going to refuse in speaking about this product or this service?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a fine line. I mean, you find now that influencers, talent, in the same way that most media organizations will have a line of ethics. They'll have causes that they back, they'll have purpose. And it's no different. Just because they're individual people, they very much have a brand, and they will champion particular charities and causes or sustainability. And they're very much using their voice and their influence for good. And I think that's a shift in the space over the last 12 months. And so absolutely they're turning down brands, and we as agencies wouldn't speak to talent that doesn't fit that ideology of that brand either. And I think it's really important, the role that we play in the middle.
Can you make an example?
Yeah. I mean, look, there are obviously, this is why the term influencer is slightly misrepresentative, because there's a huge broad spectrum of people, of digital-first storytellers, all the way from the sort of reality stars who have accidentally become famous and are therefore trading their fame to sell products, and largely that's what they do successfully, all the way, as I said, to, freelance bloggers and journalists who have grown to become leaders of communities online and are therefore very influential as a result of it. And so you're always going to have this broad spectrum of ethics. It's very difficult to manage, but I would say that the audience see through it. And you can have someone with huge following and huge reach, but very, very little engagement and very little sentiment, and they're therefore not great brand advocates for marketing.
And you said one of the terms you like using instead of influencer is entrepreneur, right? Because at the end of the day, this is maybe not already a big industry, but it's projected to become a very, very big industry. But if we think about online advertising, then online advertising has very, very set metrics to measure success, right? So it's very easy to run a campaign on Facebook and understanding the ROI of this campaign. Is there something similar for influencer marketing?
Yeah, I think to frame that, what's important is it's come from a PR world, right? And it's always been there, celebrity endorsements and ambassadorial programs and PR and gifting, which meant that the measure at that time was something called EMV, or it was on reach, or even in moving towards impressions, which meant it was all about the amount of media value that you felt you were acquiring as part of that campaign. Now, as it shifts, and it is shifting in brands' mind towards a considered marketing vehicle, we absolutely can measure through the funnel, but you need to understand what you're trying to achieve. So you can track brand sentiment, you can manage brand favorability and at the top of the funnel, all the way through to the point of sale. And we're doing that at the moment for one of our clients, Tag Heuer, and you can track all the way to the point of purchase as long as you have that you've set out with a marketing goal in mind.
Are there metrics that you can disclose about Tag Heuer?
Probably shouldn't, but we know how many watches we've sold.
We won't tell anybody.
No, but we know how many watches we've sold off each piece of talent, so it's absolutely trackable. And the key here is that you need to be able to benchmark for it to become an integrated part of marketing, which I truly believe it can be. I mean, actually, I think influencer marketing is no longer just social influencer marketing. It can be omni-channel, and it can be a pivot point for all platforms and channels. It can move into print, into audio, and into mainstream media very easily. You need to be able to benchmark, therefore, that activation, that talent-led activation, against the rest of your plan, your TV, your outdoor. That is absolutely achievable. It's what we're solving at the moment. And but the realization here is that it needs to be considered as part of an integrated plan in order for you to do that.
I agree a lot. So we were used to have brands talking to us, right? That was one of the first effects of the internet. All of a sudden, the brand can interact with their customers. With influencers, there's like a man in the middle. So the brand is using somebody who speaks to me, who speaks to their own audience. And your business is basically doing the agency, which is, again, putting another layer between the brand and the influencer and the customer. What's the value of this whole change? How does it work? How does it produce value for your clients?
The big thing actually in influencer marketing is it's actually quite complex. It's very high resource. You're dealing with humans, and often, as opposed to, you think of the talent now as media businesses. They're the ones that have the audience. They're building brands, and so in essence, you're still a media planning and creative agency, and therefore you're helping to identify the right talent, which can take a lot of time. I mean, the nuances of your brand and entrusting them with a human to help tell your brand story is incredibly time-consuming to find the right and identify the right people. It means you need to do safety checks. You want to go back through their Twitter for the last 5 years to find out if they said anything, remotely misogynistic or racist, or and ultimately it takes time to do that. So whilst in-housing and brands to talent is absolutely a thing, and it's happening across all marketing, the brands still need help managing things like reporting and managing the contractual obligations. You want your talent to managing the IP, managing legally their exclusivities. All of that just takes quite a lot of time. So the role of the agency there is to make the right is to help and support, be consultative, help them make the right decisions, help add, and from our perspective, add a real storytelling narrative to influencer marketing, because I think at the moment, a lot of the campaigns that most people are familiar with are quite product-based. It's quite commoditized, quite a transient space, where actually we believe you can tell stories with talent over a much longer period of time. And you can add a real...
drive further engagement.
Absolutely. So actually what I think the space is moving to is longer-term partnerships with fewer talent, with much more creative production and storytelling ingrained. And actually, it's the evolution of branded content. But your media in this instance are the people. They're the storytellers themselves.
I'm coming from a firm that made the fuck off you client, I don't want to work with you, pardon the French, our way of doing business. And I think you have, in your own specific business, you have a lot of chances of saying no, both to content creators, we briefly touched about that, and to clients. What were the biggest no's you have said?
I think that there's two big no's in this space. One, when a brand wants to push their creative, their assets into a talent world. So when the brief is very much, we're looking for distribution. Here's our video asset, or here's our creative campaign. Can we just find some media outlets for it, i.e. influencers to do that? That isn't what we do, and it's something that we don't believe will get you the best results. And so if that's insistent, we're not the right agency for them. And secondly, it's when a brand comes with an idea around a particular talent they want to work. That's great. But often, if they're trying to, what we believe is the wrong match and isn't going to be authentic, and we know it's not going to work, then we step back as well, because I think that when influencer marketing truly works, it's when the talent and the talent audience buy into that brand already. They're already brand advocates, and it's authentic. And actually, when it really works, is when the talent's proud of it. You know, you pay an influencer per post normally, right? So you pay them for X number of Instagram stories or so many posts on Twitter. You find that when it's the right brand match and when you've got a really great story to tell, the amount of content you get doubles. You know, they do an awful lot of organic posts and content on top of that, and that's when it really works. So to your question, really, it's when we believe that it's not going to work, and they're entering into it with the wrong objectives.
Yeah, and that's how you maximize value for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.